crack
How
a drink.
do you want to like
Sit.
start these?
Yeah, just start them. I think honestly is the best way to do it.
Yeah, no, I agree, but like
This will definitely be the start to this one. I don't know.
no, but like, do you want to be like, hey everybody, welcome back to the next episode of the Crimson Wave podcast. I'm your host Zach Phelps, and I'm your co-host.
Well,
Nick
you're
Phelps.
actually Nick Dorsing, but
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm catching that.
yeah. No, I think that's perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, that'll work.
Okay.
All right, guys. Well, welcome to another episode of the Crimson Wave podcast. We are your hosts, Zach Phelps
And Nick Dorsing.
and today should be a good episode. I am going to give my testimony and kind of my walk and my journey, my life story up until this point, if you will. So hopefully you guys will enjoy this. I'm going to try to be pretty raw, pretty real. And there's certainly things about my past that I'm not proud about. But
It's true of everybody, though.
yeah, I think we can learn from it. And it's definitely, I mean, it is my story. So that was one of the goals that I said that we were going to do. So on this episode, I'm going to get a little bit vulnerable. It's not like there's nothing horrendously graphic or gory, but you know, like I guess if your kids are listening to this, you've been forewarned. So.
Indeed.
All right. Well, we kind of talked about Nick and I's childhood a little bit on the last episode. My story in the beginning is really no different. You know, like as a youth, the biggest problem that Nick and I faced is whether or not we were going to be cowboys or Indians for the day. So that was really kind of, that's just how we grew up, you know, like we were talking about like one of the cool things that we would kind of like, a way to start out these episodes when we're together is just to like kind of share one of our like childhood stories, like a childhood story. Is there any like in particular story that comes to mind?
I think the one that sticks out the most to me is what we call the teamwork rabbit.
The teamwork rabbit?
Yeah.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
It's been so long ago now, it's kind of hard for me to remember all the details of it, but that was we still have pictures of us when we were...
I'll post those if I can find them. I'll post a picture of us.
We were probably 6 or 7 years old, somewhere in there, I guess, if I had to guess. But there was a rabbit, as Zach mentioned in the last episode.
We did a lot of rabbit hunting.
We did a lot of rabbit hunting for cottontails as a kid. And there was one rabbit in particular. I remember he was in this pasture and we had been chasing him for a while. We had set up blinds and we had done all sorts of stuff trying to kill this cottontail.
When we talk about hunting rabbits, I mean, like, we would literally, I am not making this up, we would spend hours sneaking, like belly crawling, face in the dirt. Yep. We would spend hours sneaking across a pasture to get within BB gun range of these rabbits.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or the blinds.
Yeah, I was going to say, we made blinds. We had blinds in all sorts of different pastures and stuff. And
we would spend hours waiting for rabbits in our blinds to walk out, like come out.
Yeah, and then just hope that the horses or the cows didn't screw up our hunt for us. But
yeah, there was one horse in particular that my mom had this horse that I don't know what its deal was with Nick, but we would be laying facing the ground, you know, like crawling across this pasture. This horse would walk up and literally start chewing on the top of Nick's head. Like,
or kick me.
Anytime that we were in this pasture, this horse was just out to get Nick. It wouldn't bother anybody but Nick.
Yep. I still can't stand that horse.
Oh, man. It was so funny. But, this rabbit.
I remember we had tried so many times we'd catch this rabbit in this pasture, and we couldn't.
It had our number pretty good.
We could never get him killed. He outsmarted us, which probably wasn't that hard to do, but
probably not.
But he outsmarted us day in and day out. And I don't remember all the details, like I was saying, but I do remember one day one of us finally shot him.
Yep.
And
And then the other,
and then the other one, and then the other one, and then the other one, and
rabbit looked like Swiss cheese after we were done with it.
Yeah, but we were pretty proud. I remember
Super
we had been
proud.
chasing this rabbit for however long, and
as far as rabbits go, that one was a trophy in our minds.
Yep, we took him back to the house, got pictures in the front yard, and so
skinned him out. And we would pass that skin back and forth. Like the deal was, because we both had bullets in it. The deal was that it would stay at my house for like a week or a month, and then it would go to Nick's house and it'd sit on Nick's dresser for a week or a month.
Yep.
Then it'd go back to. I'm sure one of us still has it. I'm pretty sure I have it.
Yeah, I don't remember. I think you do.
I'm sure I have it in a box because I still have a box of like all of our childhood stuff, and I'm sure I still have it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was we spent a lot of time chasing rabbits around. But
yeah, we'll find a picture of that somewhere.
Yeah, I know for a fact I have it. It's probably not a good picture. I think it's a picture off of like a computer. So yeah, but it'll you guys will get to see. But yeah, so that was. But really, like I mean, as a kid, like that was just deeply, deeply rooted in what we did day in and day out. It was like just running around hunting birds and rabbits and just kind of running them up.
And nutria. Most of you probably don't even know what a nutria is, if I had to guess.
Probably not.
In Western Oregon, there's nutria, right? I think they're in the South as well, if I'm not mistaken.
They are, like Louisiana. I think Texas maybe has some too. But.
Yeah. They're essentially a giant rat. They look like a beaver with a rat tail.
How big do you think they're? Like 20 pounds?
Yeah, good size one,
Yeah,
or even bigger on some of the big ones. But yeah, they live, at least where we're from, they live in the irrigation ditches over there and eat all the ryegrass and everything around there.
Yeah.
So the farmers hate them because they burrow into the field and do all kind of stuff. And so we would...
And they're prolific. Like
there's a lot of them.
We would shoot a lot of nutria.
Yeah, so we would spend a lot of time shooting nutria too. Yeah. Remember at one time there was bounties out on them and all sorts of stuff. You could get money for a tail and... Yeah. Between those were our three.
Our three game animals of choice.
Yeah.
But yeah. I guess like outside of that, like as we kind of talked about with Nick, like we really had like a reasonably strong foundation, at least like in the church. Like our parents really did like a pretty good job of trying to raise us like in the right way. And it was no different for me. I remember eventually my family kind of left the church that Nick and his family attended, and we moved to a new church that was it was outside of Harrisburg, but I still go there now. To this day, that is my church. That is a church that I attend, and it was when I don't know how old I was when we started attending that church. Probably like 10 or 11 years old, and it is a spirit-filled church. It's an awesome church, fantastic church. But as a young boy, that kind of had like a profound impact on how I viewed the Lord and like my relationship with the Lord. I actually kind of grew to have like a pretty strong relationship with the Lord, if you will. Like I would hear the Lord's voice, and I would, I desired to do things that pleased the Lord.
Yeah.
But, and I saw some like amazing things, like amazing miracles and just like powerful workings of God. And so like I saw all this as a kid, and like I grew up in it and I believed it, and I knew who God was. And I kind of knew like what we are supposed to do as children of God, right? Like that was I knew this. But as I kind of got into middle school, and then like through high school, like really my identity was no longer, it shifted from being founded in the Lord to like I wanted to be like the chief of all rednecks. Like That was my goal. I wanted to drive like the big trucks, like with a dip in my lip, and go mud bogging and drink and like that. I fully like embraced that lifestyle, like to a core. That is who I identified with and what I wanted to be, and I did. I did succeed. I did succeed, and so like through that, like I really my relationship with the Lord like really started to deteriorate in middle school, and then in like into high school, and then by the time I was a freshman in high school, like in basically no capacity was I pursuing anything that had to do with God. Like I was purely kind of living, like I was almost living a double life, right? Because like I would go home and who I was around my family and at church, like because like my parents, it wasn't an option for us. Like they did not give us the option as to whether or not we wanted to attend church. Like we were going to go to church every Sunday morning. So, but like I always felt incredibly like hypocritical going to church, knowing full well that after church got out, I was going to go hang out with my buddies that night and drink a whole case of beer and drive around and raise all kinds of hell just because like that's what we did. And I always like, it always, honestly, it bothered me, right? Because like I was going to church and I was like, but I was a hypocrite, right? Like I was that just never really sat well with me. I didn't I didn't like the fact that I was, like going to church, and I knew God was real. Like there was never a moment that I didn't believe in God. It's just that I had no desire to pursue God at that point in time. Like I just, it was on the bottom of my list of priorities, to be honest. But I always like, as Nick kind of talked about, like, in his story, I always kind of felt guilty. And I always kind of knew that the path that I was walking was the wrong path. Like I was not on the straight and narrow to success, like but I didn't care. Like, I guess that's like the biggest thing is that I didn't care. Like I was having fun and that's all I wanted to do was like have fun. And it was just kind of like that way through high school. I probably drank more in high school than most people drink in their whole lives. Like it just being completely honest and open. I mean, like it was pretty bad. Like I had a problem. And like when I look back, like there's many times that like I should have probably realistically, like I should have definitely probably died. And if not died, like certainly ended up in jail. Or with like a DUI, or I mean that is as stupid as it is. Like our whole MO was we would go buy a case of beer and jump in the truck and go find a back road that nobody was on, and we just drive around and drink beer. Like that's what we would do for fun, and that's what we did every day. Like it wasn't like that's what we did on Saturdays. No, that's what we did every single day. And it was super unhealthy, obviously. Like my parents knew some of it. Like they didn't know all of it. I heard this saying one time that strict parents raise sneaky children. And that certainly rang true in my own life. Like I became a master at hiding and living this double life, like, and I would seem like relatively put together on the surface, but then like who I appeared to be and who I really was were two completely different people. And that was kind of like a theme that really like continued for me through all the way up until, I kind of like came back to the Lord. And it was like, it got to the point where it was like, I mean, it was pretty bad. Like I was living this double life, and most people probably didn't know. I mean, like some did obviously, but a lot of people did not.
It was still during that time though. It was still like evident to me, like that you still believed in the Lord.
Yeah.
right? Like I had some of the same changes in my life, right? Some of the same stuff that we talked about in the last episode. But you and I would still have conversations about the Lord. Not to the extent that we are now, obviously.
We would talk about the guilt that we felt and the things that we were going through. And then we would turn around and
drink a case of beer and
go do the exact same things that we knew that we weren't supposed to.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And when I was in high school, I got in kind of like a high school relationship, but like a kind of like a long-term high school relationship that really ultimately probably saved me from completely going down like a really terrible road in high school. Like it was at that point in time, it wasn't by any means was it a healthy relationship, but it was enough that it kind of kept me from completely self-destructing in high school, if you will.
Yeah.
But right about the time that I graduated, I decided that I was going to join the Army, and I went up to MEPS. You know, like I had my slot all figured out. Like I knew what I wanted to do, and I was like in the recruiter's office all the time. You know, like really kind of like decided I was like, I'm going to the Army. And my girlfriend at the time, she was like, well, if you're going to the Army, like that's the end of me. I ain't sticking around.
Yeah.
And at that point in time, I was like, I don't care, like whatever, like I'm going to join the Army. And so that kind of ended my relationship. And I went up to MEPS, and actually I believe that this was the Lord's hand, like saving me, right? But I went up to MEPS, and I actually got medically disqualified for acne. I had really bad acne in high school, and they wouldn't let me join. It was like the last doctor that needed to sign off in order for me to go. He came in and he looked at me and he's like, yeah, you ain't going. I was like, get back on the bus. You're going home. And I was kind of crushed at that point in time, because like I was really like, that was my whole plan, was to go to MEPS. And this is my senior year in high school, that like kind of all this is coming to fruition. And so I went home, and like I can just remember like the bus ride home and just thinking to myself, like, what in the world am I going to do? Like I'm not going to be able to do what I was planning on doing. And ultimately I ended up, I won a couple welding and fabrication contests, and through that got a scholarship to go to school for welding and fab. So that was kind of like my new career path, if you will. And that was fine. Like I enjoyed that, but through that, like my relationship really, like that pretty well like killed that whole situation, really kind of like killed my relationship in high school.
Let me back you up a little bit. I remember when you got medically disqualified.
Yeah.
In my eyes, that was like a giant turning point.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest with you, I feel bad looking back on it, but I didn't realize how much that meant to you until my mom told me how much that meant to you.
Yeah.
Because I hate to say it, but I was like kind of excited that you got medically disqualified. Sure. Like I was like, oh sweet, my best friend's staying here.
Yeah.
Right? I was like, this is great. I still got my buddy.
Yeah.
And I remember I said something in that effect to my mom, and right, your mom is friends with my mom, right? And she said, like, I don't think you realize what this means to Zach. And I was like, what do you mean? And she said, this is like a crushing blow, I think. Yeah. Like this is probably not something to like go mess around, like go joke around with him about. And I was like, oh, I never thought about it in that respect. Like you're like your life goal, right? Right? Or like the thing you've always wanted to do.
Yeah.
Like all of a sudden at the last second, sorry.
Yeah.
Not going to work out, pal.
Find a new career.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then anyway, continue on from there. But
so it really kind of like threw me into a tailspin.
Yeah.
Like that kind of combined with the fact that I was 19 years old and retarded, and like just graduating high school. Like I thought I was like top dog, king of the world. Like I ended up in a very dark place, like a very dark place. Like by the time I graduated, I wasn't technically, I still lived at home, but like for the last month that I was in school, like I didn't spend any time at home. Like I was like just trying to like, I knew my parents would not approve of what I was doing. My whole family didn't approve of like the choices and decisions that I was making. So I like distanced myself from my family, quit going to church. Like I was just bouncing from party house to party house, basically just like sleeping on couches, waking up wherever I woke up, like I'd pass out every night. Just acting a fool, and no girlfriend. So now I was on the hunt.
Free, man.
And just like really kind of like a really dark time in my life. And when I graduated, I kind of like embraced, I don't even know what kind of lifestyle you would call it. I lived in my mind. It was kind of like me against the world. And all I wanted to do was just have a good time and do whatever I wanted to do and chase girls. And the way that I thought that I was going to get the best girl was to be chief idiot. But really, I mean, like so that is, I'm pretty goal oriented, and basically that's like what I set.
Yeah.
That's the goal I set for myself, right? Was to like go out and prove that I am the most dangerous, whatever, fun having, wild person that ever walked, right? Because like I thought in my mind, like that's how I was gonna get the best girl, right?
Yeah.
And like just like in the like full open honesty. And so like for the next like 6 months, I moved out the day I graduated, or the day after I graduated. I moved out. I moved in with one of my good friends up in the hills. We basically had a house to ourselves, a bunch of property to ourselves. Like we set out to have a good time. And like it was like pretty bad. Like we live in like in the middle of the Willamette Valley, right? Like we were not, it's not a crime filled, like you're not gonna get shot walking around every street corner, but like that's the way that we were acting. Like we were trolling around, like fully anticipating to get in a gunfight. Like we were almost looking for that. Like that was that's a bad combination when you mix alcohol and guns
and idiots.
Like rednecks that are set trying to prove themselves to be like the baddest dudes around. And it was, I mean, we found ourselves in some like pretty hairy situations because we were seeking out those situations. Like if you go look for stupidity will find you. And it was pretty wild. Like we went through some like pretty crazy experiences. And the whole time, like the Lord's voice in my head was like, even on my darkest day, like it's not that I didn't believe in God, it's that I just would rather pursue, like I always almost kind of viewed it as like someday down the road, like when I want to, I'll like get my life straightened out. But for the time being, like that ain't me. Like I just want to be wild and crazy, and I just want to have fun. I want to have a good time. And that's just like kind of how I lived, right? And the Lord's voice was like ever present in my head, like he would tell me repeatedly. He's like, hey, the path that you're on is not sustainable, and I'm not gonna I'm not going to let you do this forever, basically. Is like, and I knew that. Like I knew.
And what do you
that.
think he meant by that?
I was either going to die in a gunfight or a car wreck. Like it was going to be one of the two. Like, and it kind of reached a point where like that was imminent. Like that was going to happen like sooner than later. And I kind of realized that, and I was like, oh boy, like this isn't who I am, and maybe like this isn't what I want out of life. And I met my now wife at a bonfire, and it was not a relationship that was like born out of. Did not meet my wife on a Christian dating app. Not my story. But like right out of the gate, like she was a little different. Like, I don't know. She was kind of like me. And that really like and ultimately, I guess like even at my stupidest moment, like the pursuit of what I was really looking for in all of that stupidity is I was trying to find a girl, right? Like the girl. That is totally the wrong place to look for a girl. But fortunately, like the Lord blessed me and I found the right girl. But it was once I had a girl, like once we kind of like started dating, then like I really didn't. Number one, I knew that the party scene and like everything that I was doing, like that was going to lead to destruction in short order. And number two, the whole reason that I was really doing that was to find a girl, and I ended up finding that girl. So really didn't need the party scene anymore. And it was getting like pretty wild. I mean, like we were there was people that were like, there's got to be a lot of people around us that were like getting DUIs and getting in car accidents. And like, it was coming to a head.
Yeah.
And so on our first date, like me and my wife's first date, we're hanging out like after a party, and we left the party and went into Sherry's diner in Eugene. And at this point in time, I was enrolled in college. I wasn't working. I worked through the summer for a farm, but then once college started, I was like kind of going to school full time. My parents were footing the bill. And so I like, I didn't have a job, and I really didn't have any money. I mean, I was peddling ARs, trying to make some money.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know, like I was any extra money that I had, you know, like I was whatever, buy beer. And so we went to Sherry's, and we eat dinner and everything, and I swipe my card, and my card gets declined. It's like our first date, right?
Yeah.
Date is a loose term, but
right.
My card gets declined, and she ends up paying, and I'm like, wow, you know, like I sure am a badass, right?
Yep.
And fortunately, I don't know why, by the grace of God, she stuck around. And it was at that moment that I was like, okay, like I definitely need to make like some changes in my life. Like this is pretty embarrassing. And so I decided, I was like, I'm going to get a job. And so I went to a fab shop close to where I was going to school, got a job there. I was working nights for like 2 weeks. I would, I was living an hour away from school. I would go to school from 9 o'clock in the morning until 6 o'clock at night. I would start work at 6:30 at night, work until 4:30 in the morning, drive an hour home, sleep for a couple hours, and then drive back to school. Well, I kind of sort of did that for like 2 weeks. I mean, I was like late to school and late to work, and it was not going good.
Yeah.
But I was doing really good at work. Like I was accelerating well through this place that I was working.
Yeah.
And spring break rolls around, and I didn't have to go to school, so I was just like working and hanging out with my wife. And this place that I was working, they were actually offering me like more welding certifications than the school was.
Right? Yeah, I remember that.
So I was like, well, screw this, dude. Like I'm dropping out of school and I'm just going to go to work, right? Like I need the money, and I'm doing good. Like working nights just kind of sucks, but like so I did. I quit school and I just started working. And everything honestly was going like pretty good. Like I was still like, I was working nights. I moved at that point in time, and actually I moved into a house that was like the party house. So I would work all night long and get home at like 4:30 in the morning. Like everybody's still like awake and partying. And I was like trying to go to bed. And so after like a few months of doing that, I was like, man, this just isn't like, I'd kind of like excelled through the welding shop that I was doing like kind of what I wanted to do. Like I was doing like custom, like high-end stainless TIG welding, stainless steel handrail, and that's like kind of what I wanted to do, right? Except after like a month of doing that, I was like, well, maybe this really isn't what I want to do with my life.
But I mean, you had a background and all that too. Like you were a phenomenal fabricator. Like even in high school, like 16 years old, like winning fab contests. Like I remember that.
Yeah, I was pretty gifted in fabrication, and I've always been like a hard worker. Like even through high school, like I held a full-time job going to high school my senior year. Like I worked a lot. It's just that I worked a lot and then I partied a lot. You know, when I wasn't working, I was, you know, whatever, getting drunk, and then I'd wake up the next morning and go to school and then go to work and then and so I kind of like decided that I didn't really want to do the fab shop thing anymore. And so then I was like trying to really kind of like figure out what I wanted to do with my life. And so I was interviewing at various places, and I like really, I mean, for a 19-year-old, like I had a tremendous amount of job experience. Like there was nothing that I couldn't do. I just spent my whole childhood basically like learning as many skills as I possibly could. Like there was nothing I couldn't drive, like nothing I couldn't do. I was good with a welder, like I had a lot of fabrication skills. Like the world was kind of my oyster as far as like what I wanted to do. And I was trying to figure out, you know, like, well, what do I want to do? And I kind of like, ultimately my family owns a wholesale flower and vegetable nursery. And it's a good business. My grandpa started it and he retired. My mom was running it. And I've always been like a natural born leader. Just like, I mean, just out of the gate, just like I just, if you throw me in a group of people, like pretty soon I'm gonna be at the top of that group of people. Like it just is kind of the way that I've naturally geared.
It's true of truly is like true of every group of people that you're in.
Yeah.
Right. Like, it was that way in school.
Yeah.
I like, or even like with me and, you know, church and work. And,
So because of that, like, I mean, kind of like the obvious thing that I was thinking was like, well, maybe I want to get into like management. Like then I'm not like bending over, hanging underneath a piece of pipe, you know, dripping dross in my face as I'm trying to make a weld, you know, like, because I did that and like that was fun for a little while, but I don't really know if I want to do that my whole life. And so maybe I was like, well, maybe I ought to like try to use my head a little bit more. And so I decided to go back to work for my family. And all this kind of like happened at the same time. And so I kind of decided I was going to quit the fab shop and still like kind of partying a little bit, but not like near as much. And I'll tell this story just because it's kind of like a crazy story, and it kind of like the Lord has blessed me abundantly with my wife. And it's also kind of like, it was like the turning point for me. But I got off work when I was working at the fab shop. I was almost done, and we got off work early one Friday, early being like 1 o'clock in the morning, and midnight, something like that. And there was this pond that we always used to throw parties at, about like halfway in between work and my house. And so I was like, well, and my wife was at this party, right? So she's like, you come. So I was like, well, like, I don't know. By this time I was pretty well over the party scene. Like I really didn't want to, you know.
And you were what, like 19 or 20 at this point?
I'm 19.
Yeah.
And this was like, I don't even know when this was. Late spring sometime, maybe something like that. So I was like, all right. So I drive from work straight to this party, and I get there, and immediately this kid like just decides he has a problem with me. Like I do not know this dude. I mean, like I probably did because like we partied together quite a bit, but like I didn't know him. But for whatever reason, he just decided like he had a problem with me that night, and he was housed, like he was smoked, and he like is like getting in my face and like trying to pick a fight, and I had just worked like, you know, all night, and I was like, I don't want any part of this. So I grabbed my wife and I was like, let's go. And so we're like walking over to my truck, and he's following me, and he's like trying to pick a fight, and trying to pick a fight, and trying to pick a fight. And I was like, listen, dude, like, get out of my face. Like, I just want to go home. I was like, I don't have any problem with you. Like, whatever. And he he like gets in my face, and I'm calling her names. He's like, call me your name again. So, you know,
So you did.
I do. And oh, dude, it was like slow motion. It's like boom, he hits me just like right in the face. He punches me, and just like big bright light. Everything goes slow motion, and I'm like in my brain, I'm like, he just hit me. It's like he just hit you, and I went full rage mode. Just like, I'm a pretty calm guy, but when I lose it, like I lose it really, really bad. And I mean, that was maximum lose it.
Yeah.
So we hit the ground and we're wrestling around and duking it out. People are like trying to pull us off of each other, and all of a sudden, my wife, dude, bless my wife's heart, she's a savage. But
I remember that.
I always carried around. Keep in mind, like I always thought I was gonna get in a gunfight at any minute, right? Well, I had this AR that was like, it had like a 6-inch barrel. We called it Stubby.
Yeah.
But it was like Stubby went with me everywhere that I went. Yep. And my wife, in all of her infinite wisdom, thought that it would be like a really good idea to reach in my truck and grab my gun. And so like I'm rolling around on the ground, all of a sudden like these gunshots start ringing out. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, oh man, like that's it. Like somebody's died. What it was is my wife reached in my pickup, grabbed my gun, and she's like torching rounds off in the air.
Yep.
And of course, people, I mean, there was a lot of people there, and there's people going every direction. Like, and I was like, this is, you know, like all my buddies are there, and like this is deteriorating quickly, this situation. Like this is not good.
Yeah.
So eventually, like they get us ripped apart, and somebody throws me in my truck, and my wife gets in, and I'm trying to figure out like what's going on and who shot and who's dead and like who's like what's going on. And I mean, everybody's jamming, like the cops are coming, like it is not a good situation. And so like ultimately, like nothing really happened that night. It was, nobody got shot. Like fortunately, nobody died. Like nothing too stupid happened other than like, you know, and, but like I woke up the next morning, and of course my face hurts, you know, I get clocked in the head, and like I was thinking to myself, you know, like in that moment, I was like, is this really what you want? Like, is this what you want your life to be? And I was, at that point, I was like, no, like, I ain't about this. Like this, no, I don't want this.
I remember that being like startling for you.
Well, yeah,
because I remember you calling me shortly after the fact and telling me the whole thing, and
yeah,
being like, dude, that is not what I want to be about.
No, I mean, it was, and there was like at that point in time, like when I was partying, like it was mostly just like a lot of drinking, like a few guys smoking weed. We started to get into like pretty rough crowd that were doing like hard drugs, and like that's it was just, the whole thing deteriorated like pretty quickly to the point where I was like, yeah, no, this ain't cool. So at that point in time, I kind of decided, I was like, all right, like we're done with the whole partying thing. And like here I've got this girl that I'm in a serious relationship with. Like I'm trying to figure out like what I want to do for a career. Like my life has been an absolute train wreck and disaster for the last almost year. And like I got a lot of stuff that I need to like get figured out. And the whole time I just feel like the Lord is calling me, like, come back to me, come back to me, come back to me. So my wife like didn't really go to church. And like when I met her, it was like in the party scene, right? And so like I told her, I was like, hey, I want to start going to church. and then you're going to come with me. And she's like, okay. So she started following me to church, and we started attending church fairly regularly. And started like hanging out with my family again. Like I just kind of like started to get my life back in order.
How did you feel like the Lord was calling back to you?
Like just I was kind of continually blessed with good things. Like my relationship with my wife, my job opportunities, the fact that I lived through some things that I should not have. And every time that I stopped to think about that, like, I was like, why? I have done absolutely nothing to deserve anything good happen to me. Like, no part of my life over the last year has like done anything to glorify the Lord. Like, why do I keep being handed like these opportunities?
Yeah.
And to be honest, like that really started to like bother me, because like and like I would hear the Lord's voice like telling me, like, you know, saying like, you need to like look at the life that you have. It's not the life that you deserve.
Yeah.
Start living, like start doing the things that you should be doing, right? Yeah. Essentially. And so I you know, I started kind of like improving my life, and I went back to work for my family, and that surrounded me with a lot better group of people. I ended up, my grandpa bought a piece of property that was down kind of on the south end of the valley, and in the barn there was a little apartment, and fortunately he let me move in there, and it was kind of it was,
you're living in a barn.
It was living in a barn, right? Yep. In the bathroom. This is kind of funny, right? But and I didn't like, I've never been like, I'll spend every last cent that I have on my hunting and gear and equipment and trucks at that time. A lot of truck stuff and a lot of hunting stuff. Like that was it. I didn't give a crap what I lived in, so long as I didn't live with my parents. Like that was like peak failure in my eyes would have been to move back in with my parents. Yeah, that was not an option for me.
Yeah.
And I've always been like kind of like a people person, and always kind of like hunting for opportunities, right? And so like I was single, and so this barn opened up, and my grandpa was talking to me one day. He's like, you know, you could buy a trailer and move into the barn. He's like, or you could just move into the room in the barn. And I was like, well, I mean, I guess I could, right? And so like the room's on one end of the barn, and then you got to walk outside of the room. The bathroom is on completely the other end of the barn, like its own wholly separate thing. So I lived in that barn for
years.
Yeah, a long time. I mean, it was sweet digs, honestly. Yeah. And but like every day that I wanted to take a shower, you know, like I'd put my towel around my waist and walk across the barn.
Didn't matter stalls.
Didn't matter if it was, you know, 15 degrees outside. It didn't make a lick of difference. And my bathroom was on the other side of the barn. So yeah, it was just kind of, honestly, it was good though. I mean, it got me out by myself, and I had one of my other buddies was living with me for a while, but then he moved out, so it was just me, and that was great. You know, like I was pretty close to work. I had some dry space to work on stuff, and my grandpa actually ended up letting me kind of like manage and run that property, which kind of like gave me, that kind of started like, that was really the kind of like the start of my own kind of desire to like do something for myself, right? And I started going to, my mom got me enrolled. We started attending a business class together that one of the colleges puts on here. Nothing crazy. It's just like one day, couple days, one day a month, one class a month, something like that. Nothing crazy. But through that, like I started like really kind of like learning a lot more about business and entrepreneurship, and like how to actually run a company, right? Because in my going back to the nursery, like my overarching goal was to like eventually like take it over someday.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of things that kind of like happened in my life, like in that time period over like the next couple of years that kind of like ensued. And better check the outline here. But I I really started to like kind of get my life like back in order. Um, give me a second here. And like one of the only through all of that, just like in your story, kind of like my only beacon of light shining through that like that whole time period in my life was my hunting, like, and my passion for the outdoors. And I like that was it was really kind of all I cared about through like that whole thing. And that was like my North Star, if you will. Like that was the one thing that kind of like kept me grounded. And that year that I was like really kind of off my rocker and going crazy, I actually ended up killing like 2 really big bucks, which like I didn't even try that year. Like it was like, I mean, it was just kind of dumb luck, but I mean, like I killed 2 like really nice bucks, and that kind of, I've always had, especially for deer hunting, just like a burning kind of like passion and desire to deer hunt.
Yeah.
And so when I killed those 2 bucks, you know, like even amongst all the stuff that I was going through, like that really was, that was kind of like a big deal to me. But bless my wife's heart, like I really didn't hardly hunt that season. And so she didn't like, she went, when she met me, she was like, I was like, I hunt like quite a bit. And she's like, yeah, I'm like, whatever, you know, like you can keep doing that. That's fine. Yeah. And so, but the year after that,
rude
like
awakening
next year, the next year, kind of got my life straightened up a little bit. And I started going like pretty hard on the deer and the elk. And like, I hunted a lot that season. That's the year that it took me. There was 1 buck. That was the first year that I picked out like 1 buck. And I was like, this is the buck that I want to kill. And it took me 38 days to kill him.
It was almost 38 straight, wasn't it?
Yeah, there was 1 day that I missed in 38 days.
Yeah.
And it was it was, I had a lot. That was like really kind of like the first time, because that was all tree stand hunting. Like that was exclusively tree stand hunting. And that was kind of like the first time that that was kind of like the beginning of the Lord like starting to use like my love for the outdoors and my passion for the outdoors as an instrument to like kind of like guide my life.
Yeah.
And I didn't really like make like too many like tremendously giant changes that year, but my brain started like
working.
Yeah, like the seed was planted, and I had a lot of time to sit there that year and think about like what I was doing, and really kind of like what who I wanted to be and who I was called to be, and so like I spent a lot of time praying, you know, like bargaining with the Lord. I'm like, please, like if you send that buck past me, I swear I won't whatever, you know, like just real shallow, like not like a real solid understanding of how the Lord works. But I think that there's a lot of people that like can kind of relate to that same thing, right? Like, like bargaining and gambling with the Lord, if you will, you know, like if you just do X, Y, and Z, you know, like, I promise I will never do this again. And like that was kind of instrumental. And then, but like, I mean, through the whole thing, like one season just rolls into the next, into the next, into the next, into the next. Like I was always outside, and at that point in time, like I had a lot of time. Like I spent a tremendous amount of time running around the coast with our other buddy. And just kind of I mean, really rekindled my love for the outdoors and my just kind of burning passion just to be out there and doing it.
You never like truly lost it.
No, I didn't. Like I was going pretty hard through the whole thing. Like it was, it's hard for us to explain, like, I guess how passionate we are and like how it's, I mean, I always loved it. Like, and I always did it. But, and like one thing like that's kind of unique about us is that we're very, very well-rounded as far as like the outdoor activities that we partake in. You know, like it was, we got pretty good at just kind of like hunting everything. Like we would just roll from we'd kill bears in bear season, and then kill elk in elk season, and then kill deer in deer season, and then shoot a bunch of birds, and then pick up a whole bunch of horns, and then go shoot bears in the spring. Like it was, and we just kind of like just did this, like just continuously lived this lifestyle, and we had a lot of time to do it at that point in time. Like I was always like, there wasn't a day that I wasn't in the woods at that point in time in my life. And unfortunately, like looking back now, I wish that I would have been like a little bit more strategic with where I was doing that and like the species that I was pursuing. Like we liked to hunt the stuff where you got to shoot a lot, right? Because that was fun, now, that's kind of like the least of the stuff that I enjoy hunting now. Like it's just a different kind of philosophy. But
we've both kind of changed a lot in that aspect.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I mean, both of us, our whole thing is deer hunting.
Yeah.
Right? I think trying to kind of go from jack of all trades to a master of one type of thing.
That has been something it's been a struggle for us. Just because we like to do everything, but in order to really be like great at one thing, like you have to kind of like dial in on it. Like it's fine to be a jack of all trades. Like we experience success in everything that we go do. Like we could go pick any species anywhere and go have success hunting it. But if you really want to kill, like for us, it's deer hunting has really become like our passion. And in order to be like a very, very effective, like killer of like top tier animals, like you have to be committed to that. And
it's like this year, we had both talked about elk tags that we had previously wanted to do, and both said, no, screw it, I'm not even gonna get the tag. Right, we each have a couple deer or should have a couple of deer tags coming up, right? And if you would have asked me 5 years ago if I would have given up an elk tag to have better opportunities to go kill a couple of bucks, I've been like, no, not a chance.
It's September. You hunt elk in September.
Exactly.
Like you don't do anything other than hunt elk in September.
Exactly.
So, but it was so like hunting was always kind of like throughout the whole thing. And like there was one question that I started to like ask myself that like question kind of like changed my life. If I'm being completely honest, right? And like keep in mind that I like at this point in time, like I've kind of come back to I'll come back to the Lord loosely, but I believe that the Lord is at play like in our lives, right? And in the pursuit of hunting, like it doesn't matter how hard you work, there is a certain amount of luck aspect that is involved in it. Like you can be the most devoted, die-hard, just absolutely grind it out dude, but you could still fail like at the end of the day. Like there's nothing guaranteed in hunting. And that like ultimately I believe that the Lord does things in our lives, right? Like if the Lord wants to put a giant buck in front of me for me to shoot, he is in full control of that. Like he can make that happen for me. If he wants a big buck not to walk in front of me, I also believe that he is in full control of that. And the question that I started asking myself and that I started thinking about as I was like sitting in this tree stand or pursuing elk or like doing whatever, is like, why would the Lord throw me a bone if I am knowingly and willingly like walking in some form of like direct disobedience to his will? And in that, like when I say that, I mean like I've got my life mostly figured out, but I'll still go get tatered like with my friends occasionally. Not now, but at this time, like I would still X, Y, and Z, right? Like me and my wife were not married. That didn't stop us from doing whatever. Just like things that I know, like in the Bible, we're called not to do. I was still knowingly and willingly like doing these things, except like when I asked myself this question, I'm out there like it's 33 degrees, absolutely pouring down rain. I've been sitting in a tree stand for 12 hours. Like, why is the Lord going to allow that buck to walk past me if like I'm knowingly and willingly walking in disobedience to his word? And so I started asking myself this question. It really started to like mess with my psyche and my brain, And so ultimately, like I did actually kill that buck after 38 days. And it was may or may not have had anything to do with the Lord.
I absolutely did.
But, like that hunting season was really kind of like another like pivotal moment in my life. And so that kind of like leads me into like 2021. So in 2021, everything changed for me. Like my entire life changed. And I guess this is where it gets like, I'll get like a little bit deeper into my own personal problems. So you've been forewarned, anybody that's listening. But I drew an antelope tag. I cashed in my points. I spent like 13 points on drawing this antelope tag. It was an archery antelope tag. And there's the first draw tag that I'd ever like had. Like I'd had some spring bear tags, but those don't hardly count. And in Oregon, like in order to hunt antelope in Oregon, like you gotta wait a while for the most part. And so it was a good tag. Like we had hunted it the year before. My dad had the tag. We'd hunted it the year before. We'd done a bunch of scouting the year before. And when I figured out that I drew the tag, like I went hard on scouting. Like I was over there as much as I possibly could. Like 4 or 5 trips we made over there.
It's a long trip too.
It's a long trip. It's all the way across the state. Just like learning the country, talking to people, finding water holes, just like kind of pouring maximum effort into this hunt. Because like you waited 13 years to do it, right? Like it's, and like in my mind, I was guaranteed an antelope. Mm-hmm. Like the world, I waited 13 years. Like I deserve an antelope. Like the world owes me this antelope. And that's like the mentality that I had. Like I was putting forth the hard work, but also like with the mindset of like I'm going into this already like seeing the grip and grin in my mind. Like no universe with which I don't come out of this with like my antelope, right?
Yeah.
And it was the last scouting trip before the season. I went over there to put my blind up, and this is like, I don't even really like talking about this stuff, but I think it's important. But the Lord had highlighted, like in my life, it was at this point in time that the Lord began to highlight specific things that I was doing that were sinful and that he wanted me to carve out of my life. And the first thing that he highlighted was my porn addiction and masturbation. And it was very clear. Like there was no like gray area. Like it was black and white. The Lord told me specifically, he says, I want you to quit this. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay. So I like kind of quit. Not really. Like didn't make like a decision that I was going to quit. And the whole time, like I'm out there like in the desert, just me and nobody else around. And I start like getting the temptations from the devil, right? Like getting the urge. Mm-hmm. And just being like raw and real, like I succumbed to those temptations. Mm-hmm. And in that moment, like as soon as I was done, the Lord, I'll never forget this. The Lord told me, he said, you should not have done that. He said, I gave you a chance and you disobeyed me. And I knew, like deep down in the deepest depths of my soul, I was like, doggone it. Like, did I just throw this whole thing away for my own selfish desires, my own sinful, selfish desires? But I was like, no.
Yeah, whatever.
So next week rolls around and the season starts. And when I say everything went wrong, like everything went wrong. Chief among them was the fact that the first day that we showed up, I never had a sinus infection in my life. I ended up with a sinus infection that was so terrible. Like, I was blowing the nastiest smelling, just the most rankest, disgusting substance out of my nostril and eating it and swallow it. My head was just throbbing. It was super hot, sitting in the blind all day. That obviously wasn't working. The antelope were on to us. Like, they say that antelope don't care about wind direction and smell. They're wrong. They do. At least the ones guided by the Lord. And my attitude turned real sour real quick. And after like 5 or 6 days of hunting, my brother and my other buddy who was with me, they had to go back to work. And I threw in the towel. I quit. I was like, no. And I didn't throw in the towel because I didn't think I could do it. I threw in the towel because I knew that it didn't matter how long I was out there beating my head against the wall. Like, it wasn't going to happen for me. And I knew why. It's because the Lord called me, specifically and directly called me, and I acted in disobedience to that. And I was going to be disciplined for it. Like,
you even told me that while you were there.
Yeah. I knew. I knew. It was a non-negotiable. I knew this.
Yeah, like I remember talking to you on the phone, like on a daily basis or close to it while you're out there. And you even telling me like,
yeah,
I don't think it matters what I do. Like, no. I know what's going on here.
But I was hopeful, right? Like, I was maybe the Lord will have mercy on me.
Yeah.
But like, I knew.
Yeah.
And so I went home, and the whole drive home, like, I was by myself. I drove myself. I was by myself. And that was like one of the longest drives of my life. And it was, that was like the first time that I had like a real come to Jesus moment where I was like, all right, fair enough. I'm sorry. Like, I get your point. I will quit. But, like, please help me. Like, give me the strength to do this. I can't. I've tried to quit. Like, I'm not strong enough to do it on my own. Please help me. Like, partner with me. That was my cry. And I spent the whole drive home thinking about that and just talking to God and repenting and saying, like, I'm ready to listen.
Yeah.
And I got home, and immediately kind of like following that, still had a horrible sinus infection. I ended up having to have surgery on it like 6 months later. Like, it kind of got like to the point where I got some antibiotics, and it got like to the point where I even could have gone back for the rest of the hunt. Like, my head started feeling a lot better, but I didn't even like, I just chalked it up. I was like, I chalked it up to a lesson learned, right? Not to do that again. Valuable learning experience. Waited 13 years for that. Nope.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I got home, like I stayed true to my word, right? And the Lord helped me, and I was doing good, honestly. Like, I was just kind of back. And at the same exact time, like within days of me getting back, elk season is getting close to us. And there was this piece of private ground that I hunted up in the hills that was kind of like my bread and butter. Like, it was my honey hole. And I'd been hunting up there since I was 10 years old. And it was like, I had the place to myself. Like, the old guy that ran it, he didn't let anybody hunt but kids. And he just had mercy on me. I mean, I'd been up there so long, even after he wouldn't let anybody older than 18 hunt. Mm-hmm. But he kept letting me hunt. He's like, yeah, whatever. He's like, just make sure nobody sees you, and just try to stay low. And I had a very, very good relationship with this landowner. Mm-hmm. And but he sold that piece of property to a guy that went to our church who I didn't know. And the transaction wasn't finalized yet, or maybe it was finalized that year. That was the first year that it was finalized, and so the new landowner was in complete control of the company, or the property, and I I was like, well, I kept calling him. Like as soon as I found out that he was going to buy it, like I was playing the long game. Like I was as fast as I could. I was talking to him, and him and his wife, and like just trying to beg and plead my way back onto this property because it was a critical property in my huntings, like my deer and my elk hunting, specifically my elk hunting. Like it was my elk hunting spot. And I had access to one more piece or a couple more pieces of property, one more that was like right next to it that was also pretty good spot. But like this one property kind of held the key. And the guy was like, every time I talked to him, he'd be like, call me in 3 months. So I would like put a calendar reminder in my phone. I'd call him in like 3 months to the day, like, hey, have you made a decision yet? Call me in a couple more months. I was like, oh man, okay. Hang up the phone. Call him in a couple more months. And this went on for like 2 years or a year or however long it took him to kind of like finalize the sale of this property. And I finally call him. We're getting like we're knocking on the door of elk season. And I finally called him and I was like, hey, I was like, it's like kind of crunch time. Like I kind of need to know, like I got to make some decisions what I'm going to do. Like I need to know if like I'm going to get, if you'll be gracious enough to give me access to this property. And I'm in my mind, I'm thinking like, surely he's going to give me access. Like I've been up here since I was like a little kid. Like I have made it like abundantly clear how much this property means to me. Like even a couple times he sounded like he was going to give me access. And so I'm like reasonably confident that I'm going to get access to hunt this piece of ground. And like what he told me, like, so I dial him up, I call him again, and he answers the phone. I was like, hey, like he told me to call you again. Hunting season's coming up. And I'll never forget what he told me. Well, he said, I don't know you, but I've been talking to some of the neighbors, and to be honest, your reputation is not good. And I don't want to jeopardize my relationship, basically, with my neighbors for somebody who I don't know. And he's like, it may or may not be true. I have no idea, but you don't have a good reputation. And so I'm not going to give you access. And I was like crushed because up until that point, like going back to the double life thing, like I felt like I had always run like a pretty good front, right? Like deep down, I was like a terrible person, but nobody really would know it. Like I didn't really ever do anything that affected other people per se. And I was always like very careful with my landowners. And there was a guy up there who I didn't see eye to eye with, and he spread some rumors about me that were not true, but nonetheless, whether they were true or not was beside the point. Was I probably like kind of a pile of a human being at that point in time? Yeah. Were the rumors true that he spread? No. But like, was I also like an upstanding citizen at that point in time? No, I was not. So regardless, I didn't get access to it. And dude, I mean, that bothered me to the core because like that was a critical piece of property for me. But beyond that, like it was like I never really thought that anybody thought bad of me up until that point in time. Like to be completely honest, like I just didn't.
Yeah.
And so I mean, I just stewed on that. And that was a Friday afternoon. And I thought about it all day Saturday. Sunday morning, I go to church, and this guy sits, he's an elder of the church, and he sits in the front row. And so I'm sitting there, and I'm going through church, and I'm looking at him, and I'm thinking about all this, and I'm like, man, like, kind of sucks, like it's a big bummer, like I can't believe I'm not going to get to hunt that place this year. And I was sitting in church, and the Lord told me, he's like, I want you to go up and talk to this guy and ask. He said that he has guidance for you, and you need to ask if you can have lunch with him. And I was terrified. I was like, I don't like, he's going to see right through this as like a total front of like me trying to circle around and get back on his property, right? Like, that's what I'm thinking in my mind. I was like, there's no way I can go ask this guy to have lunch with me and act like I want to be friends with him after you know, like he just rejected me like hardcore to access his property, right? Like I was like, talk about a poser, you know, like he's gonna see right through that. And the Lord told me, I'm like having this debate with God, right? And God's like, no, like I gave you a direction. What happened last time you didn't listen to my direction? I mean, like, dude, clear as day.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. So after church ends, like I walk up to the front and like I didn't know what to say. I was like, hey David, like I was like, this is kind of awkward. Like I've never done this before. Like, but I received like a pretty clear word of the Lord that I'm supposed to like talk to you. It has nothing to do with your property, but like the Lord told me to talk to you. I was like, could we please get lunch? And he's like, yeah, sounds good. Like, let's grab lunch. He's like, I'll send you some dates and we'll get it figured out. We'll get lunch. And I'm like, okay.
Hoping he says no, probably.
And so I whatever, go home. And I had lunch with him shortly thereafter. And he had exactly what I needed. Like he had the next kind of steps in my journey, right? Like he's a very smart man. I love him to death. He's become like my mentor and I have the utmost respect for him. And he has helped me in my journey tremendously.
Yeah.
But he kind of got me lined out. Like at this point in time, I wasn't reading the Bible at all. Like not consistently in any capacity. This guy's a businessman. At this point in time, I'm like pretty heavily invested in business, and like I have I'm very interested in it.
Yeah.
And so I met with him, and that first meeting was really like kind of like revolutionary. He got me on a Bible reading program. He kind of got me like plugged into the church. He had some like very wise words as far as like guidance in business. And then he also he got me reading books. All of which, when looking back on it now, were fundamental like building blocks of what got me to where I am now. And so like I really, it was like at that moment, like kind of from then on is like kind of when like my real like desire to pursue the Lord kind of like was sparked and came about. And I started like pursuing the Lord like with my whole heart. And like to roll back into hunting, like I don't have my gravy anymore, my gravy property, but I still got a property right next door. It's pretty good. And kind of same herd of elk type deal, you know, just can't quite get to them as fast and not as much cover. So it was a little bit harder to hunt. But it actually ended up kind of being a blessing in disguise because we got exceptionally proficient at killing elk on this piece of property. Like we figured out how to hunt this piece, and had we had access to the other one, probably would not have killed a fraction of the elk as we did, honestly. And so elk season comes, and I mean, like I killed a great bull like second or third day of season. I mean, like it was awesome. It was epic. Like this thing came all the way across the field, you know, and like because they're kind of like they're ag elk, so they're coming from destination food, and I was able to tee into this bull. Smoked it, killed it. It was awesome. The rest of that hunting season was really kind of like an epic journey pursuing this great big like giant bull that we'll talk about later for my other best friend. And elk season was just like phenomenal. And then elk season rolled right into my friend's dad had this good deer tag in Oregon, rifle tag. So as soon as elk season ended, we went over there to start deer hunting. We were going to deer hunt for like 10 days. And I killed a cougar the first morning that we were there. First cougar I'd ever killed. Just kind of like another just like epic adventure. I ended up shooting it from a long ways away.
Very.
Really long ways away with a really small, like, I shot, well, yeah. And it's a gun I had. It was the opportunity I had, and I was not going to miss an opportunity to cougar. And I smoke pulled this thing at 1,030 yards with a 6 arc. Like it was,
Yeah, it's
it was
crazy.
it was crazy. It was epic. It was an epic,
Yeah.
epic. We got it all on film. It was an incredible experience. And on that hunt, on that journey, I chewed like a lot. At this point in time, like I started chewing when I was like 14 or 13 or 14, and so from that point in time all the way up until now, I'm 22. I think I would have been 22 at that point in time. Like I chewed the whole time. I love chewing. Like I tried to quit because I knew it was bad for me. But as far as like desire to chew, I loved to chew. Like it was, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Same here.
so like I'm seeking the Lord, like I'm reading my Bible, like I'm intentionally like kind of walking with Him. I'm having like a phenomenal season. Like I've killed an elk, good elk, killed a cat. Like this is awesome. And the Lord like highlighted on that trip, He highlighted to me. He was like, okay, like I want you to quit chewing now. Like, I mean, it was plain as day. Like that once again, like there was no debating it, like plain as day. And I was like, no, like you kidding me, not my chewing. Like I love chewing. I don't want to quit chewing, but it's an addiction. And anytime that you have an addiction, like you're putting that above the Lord. Like we should only have one addiction, and that is the addiction to pursue the Lord, right? Like any other thing that is an addiction in your life, that's ungodly. Like that is not by design.
Yeah.
Not to mention one that's like really bad for your health, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And I was like, nah, maybe later. Like, I don't want to quit chewing right now. And but I knew, once again, I knew specifically what the Lord called me to do, and I was flying directly in the face of that. And we get through that hunt. It was an awesome experience. We did end up killing a really good deer, and I get home, and that was right about the time that I started my blacktail hunting season. And there was this buck that I was quite familiar with who blew up, and I started getting pictures of him, and it's a giant blacktail. Like it's like 150-inch blacktail. And I decided that year that I was going to hunt with my bow. Like I hadn't killed a really good buck with my bow. Like I'd killed quite a few deer with my bow, but never like a big one. So I was like, I'm just going to hunt with my bow. And, but I like really didn't like practice that much through the summer with my bow. Like I didn't like really take the steps to, like be serious about archery hunting. And nonetheless though, I was like, and I hadn't hardly shot my bow since I killed my bull in September, and now we're at the end of October. So this deer, I've got this tree stand that's in like a pretty good spot. Like I've had a lot of success, and I was walking in one day to check my kind of cameras before middle of the afternoon, before I was to climb up in my tree. And I'm walking in to check this camera. I left my bow back at the base of my tree, like left all my stuff. I walk in there, and I'm kind of like, I sneak around this corner. I look up, and here's this buck staring at me, and all I can see is like his eye guard's up. And I'm like, oh crap. And I knew, like as soon as I saw it, like it was obviously a big buck. And so I pull my binos up, and all I see is just like this 3-inch tall eye guard and like these giant bases. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you gotta be kidding me.
That's the buck.
So I turn around, and I'm like, I'm pretty well fouled. Like he saw me for sure. Like he was staring right at me. So I turned around, and I was like, what am I gonna do? Like he's only got 2 options out of this tree patch. And he saw me come from this direction, but like I was like, I think he's gonna come this way regardless. Like it's still several hours till dark. Like he's probably just gonna come out of there like right before dark. So I scurry up my tree as quiet as I can, get kind of settled in. Sure enough, right before dark, here comes this buck, dude. I'm like, no freaking way, dude. Like this is a giant buck. Like I can already see myself. Like this is gonna be epic. Like I'm gonna kill my biggest buck with my bow. This is sick. And he's going to walk out like 30 yards from me right in this open. And I'm like, I'm just going to lace him right here. Everything's perfect. And at the last minute, he stops and he turns and he starts walking back into the tree patch. And as soon as he gets like I've got one little lane. He's gonna come through a thick spot, and then I've got one lane, and then he's gone forever after that. Like I ain't killing him. And so I'm like, everything's happening super fast. I'm trying to get it on film, and he gets into my opening. I stop him. I draw back. I settle the pin. I had a range. It was 45 yards, and I shot and hit the buck. Like I knew I hit the buck. I didn't know where I hit the buck, but I knew I hit the buck. Buck tears off. And Buck was like outbound and down. Like, so I was like, all right, I'm gonna go look at my arrow. So I get down from my tree. I run over to where this arrow is. Arrow's covered in blood on the ground. I'm like, sick. Like, I just smoked this buck. And I go back up to the house, and this is thick. Like, this is thick country. And it started pouring down rain. Like, pouring down rain. And it's probably been like 45 minutes since I shot. And so my dad and my brother, I was like, they're like, let's go look for him. We need to go look for him. So I was like, all right. So we get down, we start looking for him, follow blood for a while. He crosses a river. And just like, we're following good blood, and all of a sudden it just ceases to exist. No blood. And I'm like, what is going on? So I'm like looking all over, really kind of like looking for, like hoping to find this buck, like, cause I thought I pinwheeled him. Can't find him. Next day, look for him. Can't find him. Next day, look for him. Can't find him. Like, we searched the property high and low. Cannot find this buck. And like, once again, deep down, like, I knew that I was, cause like, you bet that there was a dip in my lip when I let that arrow rip on that buck. Like, and I was like, doggone it. Like, how stupid are you? Like, you did it again, right? Yeah. Like, and the Lord, like, he's like, come on. Like, are you really this stubborn? Like, are you really this, Yeah. And I'm like, oh my goodness, like, are you serious? And so I threw my can of chew away. I was like, all right. And I was like, that's it. Like, I'm done. Like, I'm done. I'm done chewing. I hear you. Like, I will obey. So I quit chewing, and I go back to hunting, right? Like, can't find the buck, and it's prime time. So I was like, all right, got to go back to hunting. And the very next hunt, I was sitting in my tree stand, and I'm like, there's nothing that means as much to me in the hunting world as big blacktails. Like, yeah, I love big blacktail bucks, and to lose the biggest buck of my life sucked. And I was like, man, like, you have got to be kidding me. Like, this is terrible. And I'm sitting in the tree stand, and once again, like, I'm wrestling. Like, I'm sitting there with my thoughts, nothing to do but talk to the Lord. And I'm like talking back and forth with God. I'm like, God, like, I've tried to quit chewing. Like, it's hard. Like, once again, like, if I'm going to do this, like, I need your help, and I need you to partner with me. And it was at that moment, like that day, the Lord, he gave me a blueprint. Like, very clearly, he laid this out to me. And he's like, he gave me a formula, right? And he's like, this is a formula that I want you to use every time you have something in your life that you need to replace, get rid of. And he said, the formula is this. When I highlight something in your life, you need to recognize it, first off, and you need to repent and partner with me, basically. So what he told me, he's like, that's the first step, is you need to just give it to me and say, all right, like, one of the things that, like, I wrote down, what he told me very specifically was, like, you need to quit cold turkey. And I wrote in my outline, and you talked about it yesterday, and it's kind of like, it has become like one of my favorite sayings. It's a Dave Ramsey saying, but ish is a wish. Like, if you do something ish, like part way, you don't actually care that much. Like, right. When you're trying to quit something, everybody's like, oh, I'm going to quit smoking by, like, I'm going to reduce down to, like, a pack a week, right? Or, like, I'm going to chew a can of chew a week instead of a can of chew a day, right? That doesn't work. Like, no.
I think I told you the same thing about myself.
Exactly.
when he called me to quit chewing.
Yes.
And I'll never forget that. I went in, I bought a can of chew, and knowing I was being disobedient, right? And I walked out of the gas station. I was climbing in my truck and I was cracking the seal on that can of chew with my thumbnail. And he said, "I told you to quit, not slow down." And I was like, "Oh, come on, not now."
Yep.
And I remember I just, all right, threw that can of chew in the garbage and never had a dip since.
Yep.
Yep, same thing.
Yep. And so that's what he told me. He's like, you need to quit. Like, quit. So I was like, okay. And then this was the part that really this was like revolutionary for me. He's like, yeah.
I'm gonna go to the bathroom.
Okay.
Continue.
Pause. And we're back. This was like kind of like the key of it all. Was the Lord told me that I was to. It says in the Bible that when, like, essentially when a demon is cast out of somebody, that it goes through dry and arid places, and eventually it finds. You should look up the verse.
Yeah.
But essentially, like, it goes through dry and arid places, and eventually it says to itself, "What am I doing? I'm going to go back and to where I came from, and I'm going to see if there is anything there." When it goes back, it finds the room is swept and in order, and it goes and gets 7 more demons, and then the state of the person at the end is worse than it was in the beginning. And the Lord highlighted this verse to me as I was sitting in my tree, and he said, basically, the way that you combat that is you have to fill that void in your life with something.
It's the verses in Matthew 12.
Matthew 12. Look it up. Good verse. Critical verse.
There's a whole passage in there.
Yes.
Yeah.
But basically, like, what the Lord said is that, especially something like chewing, because like I said, I started chewing when I was like 13 or 14 years old. I can't remember, but like, I chewed for a long time, and it wasn't even chewing was something that like to my core was something that I identified with. Like, I considered myself to be like a good old boy, like a country boy or a redneck, and those dudes, like, they chew, like, that's what they do. And so it was like, it wasn't just like a bad habit. It was more than a bad habit. It was actually like part of my identity. Like, and so when you carve something like that out of your life, like, that's gonna leave a void, and that void is going to be filled. What the Lord told me is that I was to fill that void with something productive. Like, something, I was going to replace something bad in my life with something good in my life. And the thing that the Lord highlighted to me that he wanted me to replace it with was what the Lord told me. He said, what you lack is discipline, and I want you to introduce discipline into your life. And so what he highlighted to me is that he wanted me to start working out. And because like up until this point, like, I was pretty athletic in high school, but like my senior year, after I was done with sports, I swore up and down I was never going to work out again. Like, I was uninterested. But the Lord highlighted that to me, and he's like, hey, like, this is what I want you to do. Like, it was once again, like, it was pretty clear. Like, I was listening, and that is what he told me. And so and then the last part of the formula that he told me is that you need to guard this with diligence. Like, he told me, the words that he told me were, this is a lasting ordinance. This was something that you needed to, it wasn't for a short duration. Like, this was real life. Like, this is something that you need to be serious about, and you need to protect yourself from. Like, and because of that, actually, like, specifically in my own life, I had to start carving people out of my life that were doing detriment to the direction that I knew that I was being called to and needed to go. and just to, I guess, like kind of wrap up that hunting season, I ended up like just a matter of days later. Once again, I repented. I quit chewing cold turkey, and to be honest with you, like it wasn't hard. Like I gave it to the Lord, and He gave me strength, and I just quit chewing. It was not. It wasn't. It's something that I struggled with quitting so hard in the past was just gone. Like it was a non-issue any longer. At least for that season. Like I'm not saying that the temptations don't come back, and um, but for a length of time, it was just gone. Like it was not something that I struggled with anymore. And there was other things like that hunting season was just like it was just one thing after another of the Lord like highlighting something in my life, me flying in disobedience of it, me being disciplined, my repentance, me coming to the Lord, repenting, and then the Lord providing for me more than I could have ever dreamed. Like a matter of days later, I killed a really, really nice buck, great buck. It didn't end up killing the same buck that I wounded. I actually ended up, that's a different story for a different day. I'm sure we'll tell that story one day. That buck lived. He's dead now. I didn't kill him, but
Yeah.
that's a different story for another day. But I did end up killing like a great buck, and that was the first year. Like that was a banner year for me. Like that year, I killed a deer, an elk, a bear, and a cougar all in one year. That was the first year that I ran the table on big game animals, and it was an incredible just journey, and really that hunting season specifically was what kind of propelled me to where I am now, essentially.
Yeah.
And those are two vastly different places.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like it had that hunting season had like in my quiet time alone in the outdoors with the Lord, and also the Lord like leveraging that the outdoors as like the catalyst of, because like what did I desire in my heart? It says that if the Lord will give us the desires of our heart if we seek and we follow Him. The desires of my heart were the animals with which I were pursuing, like in that moment.
Kill big deer.
What's that?
Kill big deer.
Kill big deer.
Yeah.
And so it was, yeah. I mean, it was, and that was also so like kind of to like bring this back into to like Nick's story and like our journey together. That was kind of like the year 2021 was really like the year that you and I really started. Like I didn't have anybody to talk to about this stuff. Like just like you, like I was kind of. I just really didn't know anybody that was like a passionate outdoorsman that also like had a passion for the Lord. And like Nick was somebody that like I grew up like I know the dirtiest of his secrets. I know everything about him, and he knows the exact same about me. So he was somebody that I could just be like completely transparent and black and white about my struggles and my successes and my journey. And we just like started to like really talk on a very frequent basis about the things that we were going through, and we were living our own individual lives, but they were very much so side by side, walking the same journey together.
Yeah, and being able to have somebody to talk to about that stuff was it was like life-changing, truly.
Yes.
I mean, when you were telling me about some of the struggles that you were having, some of the things that you've talked about, I never once was I like judging of any of those things, because they were all things that I struggled with too.
Yeah.
And it was, for lack of a better term, it was inspirational to me to know that there was somebody else who was struggling with some of the same stuff and was able to conquer some of those addictions and issues.
Sure.
I mean, through
God,
grace alone.
Yeah.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, like everything that you've mentioned, I've struggled with all the same stuff. And anyway, they were all things that I was never able to conquer myself.
Yes.
Right? Like, I mean, it was all by the grace of God, all those things. And I think that's true for so many people, right? Like, there's other people in our lives that we talk to on a regular basis that, you know, struggle with the same issues
They're
and,
still
and
struggling
other
with
issues.
the same issues.
Yeah,
and
and
yet,
others.
And others. And they,
But I've
they
also
haven't
seen,
given it to the Lord.
No, but by this, you know, the flip side of that coin is we've seen so many other people in our lives that have had the same issues that we've prayed over, that we've, you know, had some, you know,
told these testimonies to.
Yeah, and have had some sort of positive influence on, like, whether we knew it or not.
Yeah.
That have, you know, turned to the Lord and been able to beat some of these same addictions and other things. So
For sure.
it's don't be afraid to, for anybody listening,
share your
like,
story.
Don't be afraid to share your story. You don't have any idea how it'll impact other people.
Yes, exactly. You know, I also, like, in my outline, I kind of talked about that 22 season and the deer hunt. The deer hunt in Idaho was just like, once again, just like another from my like actual, like, by then I had like pretty well corrected like most of the like glaring bad habits in my life, right? Like, but then there's always something to find and improve upon in our lives. But as far as like, excuse me, as far as like a hunting journey, like that 22 season and that trip to Idaho had like a profound impact on like how I viewed my hunting and like the outdoor experience as a whole. And it was like, up until that point, I had spent my entire hunting career trying to figure out like how to kill the biggest animals possible with like as little physical effort as possible. And we got really good at it. Like, honestly, like we were killing really, really good animals, and it was almost shallow, if you will. Like, we had a sweet set of horns to put on the wall, but it didn't mean as much as like,
you didn't have a story to back it up.
No, there was no story to back it up. Like, not really. Like, the deer are a little bit different. Like, anytime you pick out like one individual animal and like you pursue that specific animal, like that's a cool, I love that. Honestly, like that's one of my favorite things. Even as I get into more of like my buck from this year, that was in the great expanses of public ground, but I still was pursuing, there was a couple bucks that I was pursuing. That was for sure the one that I really wanted to. Like, that was the one I was hoping to cross paths with. Not that I wouldn't have harvested a couple others if I'd have found them, but but the 22, that Idaho trip was really, that was an incredible. And if you haven't listened to that one, I guess, the episode before this will be Nick's testimony. Go listen to that. We kind of break down that whole story. It was pretty cool. We ended up killing the trophy was not in the animal itself, but in the experience, you know, like it was in the journey. But, let's see here. That's kind of, I think we're going to go ahead and end this episode. I don't know how long we've been talking, but we've been talking for a while on this. I think we're going to break this into two parts, just because this is kind of like a good spot to take a break, I guess. But I think we'll end this one here, and stay tuned for the next episode. The next one is, for me at least, it's a pretty miraculous story. We're kind of like finally getting into the real nuts and bolts of like what I hope to share with the Crimson Way. And that's like kind of like amazing, like undeniable workings of the Lord. And we shared one in Nick's testimony with like the bear. But this one, like in my own personal life, this was another one of those just like life-altering experiences. And so we're gonna bring that to you guys next. But I think we're gonna pause this one here. So I think we're gonna close it out with a prayer, and then stay tuned tune into the next episode and listen to that story, because it's pretty cool. But
all right,
well, let's do it. Father who's in heaven, I thank you for today, Lord. I just thank you for this opportunity for me and Nick just to sit down and fellowship and just relive some of these stories, Lord. You know, thank you that you turn our failures into success, God. And I just ask that this would just reach the ears that it needs to reach, Lord. Please use this as an instrument just allow our vulnerability to just impact and help others and just further your kingdom, God. I just thank you so much for all the many blessings that you've just provided for us and all the incredible experiences and the things that you've given us that we don't deserve, God. And we're just here to try to just make good on those, Lord, and do what we can and do our part. So, yeah, we just ask this in your son's name. Help this just to be spread around and spread to the masses, Lord. Help us be the instruments that may just drive a little bit of change in somebody's life for the better, God. We ask this in your son's name. Amen.
Amen. Amen.